Good afternoon, this is Karen.
Hey, Karen, it's Andrew Johnson here, krnhic.
Yes, Andrew.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
You know what? Can't complain. Got through the whole Thanksgiving deal, sort of gearing up for Christmas.
Yep, that's right. I was just talking to a coworker. I'm going to take a day's vacation tomorrow and get out my Christmas tree and do some decorating.
Wow, that must be one hell of a tree.
It's pretty big.
Sounds like the one they got in the Rockefeller Center. It's an all-day affair.
It's not quite that big.
There you go. Well, first of all, welcome on board the meeting. It's going to be good to have you along.
Thank you.
Good. So there's two very quick conversations you have with me. One today is to get a lay of the land in terms of what topics are of more interest and value and relevance to you when you're there. And second call is coming back with specific recommendations to build a very focused itinerary around that should utterly maximize your time in the short space of time you're with us.
Okay, sounds good. Mm-hmm.
So I guess first, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how long have you been with Flowers Food? And I guess a little bit about, the scope of your role and responsibility now, please.
Okay, I've been with Flowers for 36 years, almost 37.
36, my lord. Was not expecting that answer.
Of course, you understand I started when I was 12.
There you go.
And I'm currently in the role of VP of Compensation and Benefits. I started out in just the group healthcare arena, and then worked on all types of benefits, health and welfare benefits, for probably 20 years or longer. And then I moved into the added to that retirement and started overseeing retirement services also, and then added to that the compensation. So over quite a bit of the HR function, and I'm going to probably be retiring in about a year and a half, but I hope to train and get my team prepared to carry on without me.
You know who your successor is going to be if you got to the point of choosing?
Yes, we actually do. We actually are splitting my position into two separate positions.
Okay.
And we're going to have one person that works with me now is going to be in charge of all the health and welfare plans.
Yep. And
another person that works with me is going to be over the retirement plans and the compensation plans. So it's not that it takes two people to replace me, but the job has grown so much. Flowers, I don't know if you're familiar with Flowers Foods or not, but we have about 45 different operating facilities, and we've grown quite a bit in the last 5 to 10 years, acquired new companies. And so the scope of our benefit plans and retirement plans have grown as we acquire new companies, and it's just become a little more too much for one person to oversee. So that's what the plan is.
Wow. Well, congratulations on lasting with one company all this time. In this sad day and age, people aren't even shooting for that even more.
Well, surprisingly enough, Flowers has a very large number of long-term employees, and our top 200 executives, I think about 80% of them have over 20 years with the company.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay. So if I break your roll down right now in terms of you've got here implementing an optional consumer-driven plan with an HSA, not as a full replacement, but as a second option. So this is all about making your people better consumers, I guess.
Yes. We have always had just one plan option, and we are self-insured plan, and we've had a very good medical plan. It's very rich, very nice plan. In the last couple of years, due to healthcare reform and the increased cost of all healthcare, as you know, We've made some changes and modifications to our plan to try to bring down the actuarial value of the plan. So that's one approach that we're taking, but the other also, we feel like there have been high deductible health plans, consumer health plans have been around long enough that there's a lot of experience now out there in the market, and we've kind of been afraid to take that approach in the past, but we've decided that the time has come. So we would not even dream of doing a full replacement, but we are going to offer that as an option for 2017. So we'll be working on that and getting it ready for open enrollment next fall.
Okay. No, so you're gonna be very busy just before you leave.
Yes, I am. Get some programs in place and leave it in good shape.
You're definitely not going out with a whimper.
That's right.
You're reassessing your entire disability program. Sure. I tell you what, you're really going to enjoy is LIJ, the Long Island Jewish health system with about 60,000 employees. I was speaking to the person there just the other day, and he's going to be doing a session on disability and how they've dramatically decreased the number of days lost, whilst at the same time, interestingly enough, largely increased the number of incidents now reported in terms of how they centralized and changed that. And the consultant told them it would take 3 years to bear fruit, and he said it's already bearing fruit by a scale of 3 to 1 in year number 1.
Wow. Yeah, I'd be very interested to find out how they did that.
As much as anything, the secret just seems to be that often disability is so split up among so many different people where you don't have that one particular person who's ultimately accountable, but everyone sort of passes the parcel on that. So you don't have any of the sort of issues being reported into one person, or there's an incentive to pull it in, and then those people who maybe take excessive time out. No one person taking responsibility for sort of tackling that either. And you sort of play it forward in different organisations, you sort of see how that's probably mostly the case in most places.
Right, and what has happened with us, our long-term disability plan, is fully funded by employees.
Yeah.
And the experience has costs have continued to increase. And so this coming year, our LTD carrier is passing on a very high premium rate increase to our employees. So we feel like we're to the point where we need to look at our plan design and see what we can do in that respect to hold down the cost, but also to handle once claims are established, to have return to work and things like that perhaps we're not working real hard to do now. We need to put in some processes in place to try to hold down those costs. But we're also looking at our short-term disability program. The company funds a short-term disability program. It's self-administered. It's just a payroll practice. And we have a very rich benefit for salaried employees.
Yeah.
We have 100% pre-disability earnings for 13 weeks. And then at 13 weeks, it reduces to 66 2/3%.
Yeah.
And we are seeing a lot of people taking advantage of the system and abusing the program. And so we just don't know. We know we need to make some adjustments, probably reduce the benefit. We've spoiled people for too long. But we are actually looking at outsourcing that and making it an insured plan also. If they want to buy short-term disability, they can, or either the company may continue to provide that coverage, but it would be through an insurance company. So we're just, next year, that's one of our objectives, is to review our entire short-term and long-term disability plan for hourly and salaried employees, and just determine what we can do cost-wise and to still have a good benefit, but reduce the expenses related to it.
My goodness, it's like I can't believe you went to this hard for 36 years with all the sort of activity going on, but I guess healthcare reform sort of threw everything in the air to some
Yes.
degree, or again, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It definitely had a major role in it.
God. And it sounds like what you're doing to the very end you're looking for efficiencies and cost savings wherever they can be found, just to make sure that you leave this behind in as sort of tickety-boo good shape as you humanly possibly can.
Right. And one thing that we have done in the last year, for the past 20 years, I guess, we've had a broker and consultant that worked with us that was more of an independent type agent, and we didn't feel like we were getting good enough guidance and direction from him. So last year we did an RFP and put out our health and welfare benefits consulting and brokerage out for bids, and so we have started working with Mercer out of Atlanta, and they're helping us look at, just analyze all of our plans and look at where we may be. We're out of the norm. We're not a mainstream approach of what are other companies doing. How can other companies are changing their plans or have done, these reduced cost efforts that we've not been doing. So that's one reason why we're analyzing everything and making these changes in the next year or two, is because we've started getting better guidance and assistance from our new broker and consultants.
Okay. What about wellness? What does wellness look like in your organization right now?
Well, all we do right now, we have a wellness program that we self-administer, but we do rewards through our medical plan. Our medical plan is actually administered by our TPA is Blue Cross of Alabama. So even though we're located in many states throughout the country, we utilize the Blue Cross's administrative services, and we utilize the Blue Card PPO network that is, whatever Blue Cross networks are in place in each state, our employees can utilize. So as we've revised our medical plan and added wellness features to it, we have rewards that we pay employees that complete certain procedures, like if they get their physical every year, if they do certain cancer preventive screenings. We put in a baby prenatal wellness program. We have a smoking cessation program. Can you think of everything? There's about 5-6 things that we reward employees or spouses for participating in. And we started a couple of years ago doing gift cards that were like a Visa card. And it worked well at certain times and at certain locations, and other locations it didn't. It seemed like employees just got confused about what was on the card and was it reloadable when they got a reward. So instead of doing that, we're actually doing it through our payroll system. And once a quarter, we issue the rewards. So it comes through their paycheck and it's itemized separately, so they'll see this is how much you're being paid because you did these wellness efforts this quarter.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing right now.
And is the wellness working? Is it driving down the cost? Is it really?
I think that it has kept our costs from escalating as high as it could have, considering the escalating cost of healthcare services, out across the nation. We've seen double-digit in medical cost inflation, and our healthcare expenses are not increasing at that rapid a pace. We're seeing 6 to 8% increases year over year. So we're hoping, we don't really have a way to gauge our return on investment, but we hope that is helping hold down the increases in healthcare.
Okay. Makes lots and lots of good sense. And from a compensation perspective, are there going to be any sort of changes there in the next 18 months?
We all the time looking at our compensation programs. I don't deal as much with our executive comp. We do have a couple of executive compensation plans,
Yeah.
but I work more with our regular base compensation programs. And we did this year do a very comprehensive analysis of our compensation structure. And we made a few changes, but we do look at that every year and see if we need to move different jobs to different salary grades. We do benchmarking with all of our jobs, and we analyze the ranges of jobs that are assigned to each grade. And so we do look at that, but as far as any new initiatives, the only thing that I'm really hoping to accomplish in the next year or so as far as our compensation plan is how to communicate it to employees. We have not been very transparent in our communication practices, and we're trying to work on putting together some communication pieces that will help employees at all levels of the organization understand how our compensation is determined and why we pay, the way we do and that kind of thing. So that, I guess if you were talking about compensation initiatives, I would say transparency initiatives, communication type initiatives would be what I'm going to be focusing on the next year or so.
Okay, makes lots of sense. And what would you ideally want to walk away from this meeting with? So all the things being covered, what would be a good outcome for you in terms of listening to people talk about different things? What would that be?
Well, I think anything that I can, that I hear that other companies are doing that we might not have thought of, and be it in the area of healthcare or disability or life insurance, anything new or different that we might consider, because it's almost like we've been stuck in a time warp almost. We haven't made major changes to our plans in several years, and I just want to make sure that we are providing the best benefit program to our employees, giving them viable options that they can afford without it costing so much to the company. Always have to be concerned about that and the company's expense, but we still want to provide an affordable benefit package that is competitive so that we don't lose good employees going to our competition, that we're able to retain those good employees. So I guess that's my objective, just to hear what other companies are doing and make sure that we're on the right track.
How good is all the sort of technology that you've got behind this in terms of your processes? A lot
of
organizations have very manual processes, which makes things a bit cumbersome.
We have had a manual process for all our enrollment until probably about 4 years ago. We designed our IT group with our HRIS group, designed an in-house benefits open enrollment module, and we've been using that, but it's still a little cumbersome. So what we have done is we started looking for enrollment and communication platforms outside of our company, our systems that we use. We utilize SAP for our payroll and HRIS processes. And we have identified a company called Benefit Focus that specializes in online enrollment and communication tools and their platform. So we're going to be incorporating that over the next year into SAP so that our employees can access it through SAP, but it actually will be on Benefit Focus's platform. So we have some pretty high hopes that that's going to improve things and make it easier for employees, easier to understand, so that they'll get a better experience as they go through the benefit enrollment process. So that's another big project that's going to be very time-consuming this coming year.
Have you offered, like, one of the things that we hear organizations doing in this day and age to sort of stand out, especially as so much for healthcare has become so sort of commoditized, is just offering really sort of attractive benefits or voluntary benefits, things like, reimbursement for education or, ID theft voluntary benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys gone down that route yet?
We have not yet, but we have had one voluntary supplemental plan that we've offered, and it's a cancer plan. That seemed to be the one that most employees ask about, and it's totally funded by employees, again, completely voluntary.
Yeah.
We've had that plan for several years. But part of our initiative with Benefit Focus is to offer additional volunteer plans on their platform. And so we have not decided what those plans are going to be yet, but we have a planning meeting coming up in a month or so where we'll be looking at the various volunteer plans through different carriers, out there in the country that's available in the market. And so we will probably decide on 3 or 4 additional voluntary plans in addition to the cancer plan that we already offer. And that seems to be on the advice from our consultants when you're implementing a high deductible health plan to offer some additional supplemental plans to offset the out-of-pocket expenses that they might have under a high deductible health plan. So that's why we're incorporating that at the same time. But we haven't made a decision yet on what plans we're going to be offering.
Cool. Well, before I let you fly, thank you very much for giving me all those answers. I think down hopefully some pretty good notes. Do you have any questions for me before I let you go?
The only other initiative I might be interested in, if there are any conferences or anything going on related to talent management and performance management, because we're in the process of implementing a new talent management program that involves performance, compensation, recruiting, leadership, and development. And we've sort of started piloting that program. So it's still sort of in the works. We're making changes to it before we're ready to roll it out company-wide. So I also would be interested to see what other companies might be doing in regard to talent management or performance management, that type of
I saw that checked off on your form, and I just assumed it was an error because I've never actually seen talent management attached to all these other things. But you've got that as a sort of a scope of responsibility as well to some degree.
Well, I sort of fell into it.
Oh my Lord! I hope they're paying you well for all this.
Well, I guess they are. When we started talking about this program a couple of years ago, we felt like there needed to be somebody in our area, the compensation area, on the committee that was putting the program together. And so I was selected to be on the committee. And we started looking at software. We started looking at all kinds of programs and everything. And then when we started rolling it out to just certain pilot locations to test it and see how it worked and, modify it and make changes to it, my superiors said, instead of us, we were trying to gather a training committee, a training team that would go out to all the various locations and hold training meetings. And there was about 10 of us, 10 or 12 of us that were going to be on the training committee. But the executive says, we want everybody to hear the same message delivered in the same way so everybody understands how the program works and why we're doing this the way we are. And everybody's on board and is doing the same thing and understands the same thing. So one of my coworkers and myself were elected to be the training team.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of my time in the last year has been involved with training on our new talent management program. So even though that's not directly under my area of responsibility, it's been added to me just in the last year or so.
So what are some of the gaps in that area where you might specifically need some advice, need some help, need some good direction?
We have 2 items that we use in our program. We're looking at competencies, which are behaviors and actions that employees have to demonstrate on their job to show that they're meeting expectations on the job. And we've had a lot of discussion and a lot of review and a lot of feedback on what are the appropriate competencies for us to require employees to learn and develop into successful performance. So our program's made up of competencies and goals, goal setting, and how well people work toward their goals and accomplish those goals. So those are the two factors that are primarily involved in the performance management. And I would be curious if there are any other companies out there, I know there are, that are implementing similar type of programs, how they're approaching that and what are the components that make up their performance management.
What are the competencies that you're focusing in on where you're saying, that's a deficit or a gap or a need right now?
Well, we have developed 7 competencies. We started out with 5 that we're going to apply to everybody. But as we've been through this for a few months now, we're making 7 competencies that will apply to everybody regardless of what function they're in. And we've tried to make them something that is applicable, like manages work. How well do you manage your own work? How do you plan and organize what you have to do? One is communication. Doesn't matter what area you're in, you need to be able to communicate and convey the proper message so that people can understand it. So, those are some of the types of competencies. And then we've taken it a step further and leveled those competencies based upon the level of the job the person is in. Because you wouldn't expect a department head or a frontline supervisor to be able to communicate in the same manner as a department head or a plant president. So the requirements, the definitions of those competencies and the required behaviors are different as you go up the ladder in the company. So we've put a lot of comprehensive work into this, trying to get it right, but don't really have anything to benchmark it against to know if we're, how are other companies doing that? And what is their success rate? Have they seen a real upswing in the performance of their employees and employees staying with the company and not, turnover because they're not satisfied? We're trying to drive employee satisfaction and retention by rewarding them for their good performance is basically what it boils down to, and being able to identify key employees that are those top key workers, high performers that are ready for promotions. So, I would just be curious as to if any other companies that have implemented these type of programs, if they've had them in place longer than we have, do you see the success of that? Is it working? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you have a good rewards recognition program in place that actually works, or is it organizations and they look at it, it's money for old rope they're paying out?
Yeah, that's in the past. We haven't. This is the budget, and you just kind of pass it around.
Yeah.
But we're trying to really tie the merit increases every year to actual performance. So we'll be rating performance and then tying that into actual merit increases. And it's just, we're fixing to get our first increases next year, the first of the year, based on 1 year worth of performance management. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes and how it's accepted by the employees. But I can't tell yet whether it's going to be successful or not.
I tell you what, most people in your position would be winding down,
I kind of feel like I need to be.
You're going the opposite direction. One last question. What's the white-collar, blue-collar split in your organization?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The white-collar, blue-collar split, approximately.
We have right over 10,000 employees company-wide. That's all of our facilities. And I'd say it's probably about 80-20. We probably have about 2,200 salaried employees. And then the rest would be hourly.
Okay. Good. Well,
because we are a manufacturing company.
Yep.
We produce bakery products, bread.
Yeah.
Bread and buns and rolls and that kind of thing, snack cakes and those kind of things.
I eat that stuff every day.
Okay, good. Very good.
I'm a fan.
Good. So we do have a lot of hourly, workforce, a large hourly workforce.
Good. Well, good. Well, look, I've taken down some sort of talent management notes as well, so that will certainly help.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I look forward to coming back shortly with some recommendations.
That sounds great. I look forward to it.
You have a wonderful rest of the day, eh?
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.